Hello there guys, welcome back to another video, another episode of the Transfer Target, but not really front-loaded about transfers actually. I want to talk a little bit today about some Manchester City news that I saw that I really liked, and it's about the young EDS midfielder Romeo Lavia, who's apparently going to be fast-tracked to the first team by Pep Guardiola. I'm going to do that and talk a little bit about transfers later on. Before I do that though, I want to say thank you to OneFootball. You know the score by now. If you haven't already, click the link in the description below to download OneFootball, then what are you waiting for? Just do it. Honestly, OneFootball is fantastic. I would not lie to you guys. It's a fantastic app that's used by over 10 million people and costs a grand total of £0, 0 pence, $0, whatever. It's free basically, and it's the best place to keep up to date with all the Manchester City news and all the Euro 2020 news as well. Of course, there's loads going on in the Euros at the moment after England's incredible 2-0 victory against Germany. Come on. So you can keep up to date with all that kind of stuff and any breaking transfer news by downloading OneFootball right now in the link in the description, which also helps support my channel. Do it right now. I promise you, it's really good. So yeah, we're going to talk about Romeo Lavia today. I want to say as well quickly, I did a chat this morning about the England game with the fantastic YouTuber James Olcott. James is a top lad. I chatted him loads about. He was at the game last night as well. So go and watch that. There'll be a link on screen somewhere, or at least in the end card of this video. Watch that after this. Ignore the first minute of audio, by the way. It's pretty bad. It's my fault. I forgot to change the mic settings. It gets better after that. But yeah, go watch that. It's really good. But today I want to talk about Romeo Lavia, basically, because this comes from, I think it comes from Mike McGrath, who's a journalist who's basically done a little piece saying how Manchester City have got an awful lot of trust in this young defensive midfielder, a 17-year-old defensive midfielder, and he could be the one, actually, that moves up to the first team next season and learns the ropes from the likes of Fernandinho and Rodri, because Pep Guardiola apparently is a big fan of him. Now, I'll give you a little bit of background about this guy. I don't know how much he signed for, actually, but what I do know is that he signed for, with a good reputation from Anderlecht in the summer of 2020. Genuinely, he came pretty cheap, I think. Let me just double check. It doesn't say how much he signed for, but either way, I think it was a few £100,000, something like that. But either way, he came with a massive reputation as a really intelligent footballer. I think it's fair to say that reputation was right. Now, he's Belgian. He does play as a DM, so he loves the number 6 role. And he's adapted to life over here stupendously quickly. Of course, at 16 years old, he first started playing with the under-18s, but by November, he'd already broken into the EDS side. Yep, at 16-year-old, he was playing for the EDS, and of course, he played in the, what's it called now? Is it still called the Checker J Trophy? I don't know, but either way, he was playing in the Football League Trophy. And doing well in it, really well against senior professionals. He was doing fantastic. He continued to improve over the winter months, turning 17 in January before winning the Premier League 2 title with the EDS, being the fulcrum of that team. And I think he even captained the team at one point as well. Someone correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think he has captained some of our sides. I'm not sure which it was, but I do remember him being captain at some point. But either way, he only joined in the summer of last year during the whole COVID world and all that kind of stuff. So it was a horrible time to join a new club. Yet his head just when his head just focused entirely on playing for Manchester City, broke into the EDS at 16, and then won to top it all off the Premier League 2, and then he also won the EDS Player of the Season in his first season at 17 in a new country. The Belgian is very talented, and I'm really excited by him. This news to me is good news, and it's also something I mentioned during the Fernandinho contract extension video. The one reason I like Fernandinho signing is, well, not the one reason, there's many reasons. The reasons being he's experienced, he's brilliant. We need that alternative still. But one of the main reasons I loved it is because actually it frees up space for someone like Romeo Lavia to get a crack at it, basically, in a year or so when Fernandinho is gone. And I know you'll still only be very young by then. You'll still only be 18. But I really think this kid is that special talent that he could genuinely make himself the backup to Rodri inside the next year if he gets a chance or two. He's a super intelligent footballer. And if you ask a lot of people around Manchester City, a lot of people watch the EDS games regularly, they probably would say he's actually one of the brightest, if not the brightest, young talent that Manchester City have got currently in the academy sides, that is. I know you're saying, what, really? Given Palmer and Delap and all that kind of stuff? But yeah, honestly, he's up there. And the reason he stands out so much is because of his game intelligence. He actually did an interview with Goal.com a few months back, and these are his own quotes. He said, and I quote, "I've watched a lot of Fernandinho and Sergio Busquets. Those two have dominated the game as defensive midfielders. I've looked at them a lot. Fernandinho knows what he's doing. He doesn't just run to run. He's like the brain of the team. When you're young, you want to run left, right, but he knows what he's doing, so he won't run as much, but he will still be effective. That's something I keep learning from him. I've not spoken to him in person because of COVID, but just on social media." But it's interesting to hear him talk about when you're young, all you want to do is run, as if he isn't just a baby himself. But either way, this guy just turned 17 when he was saying these which shows you just how mature this head is on his shoulders. But I think we've got a gem, basically. At 16, obviously, moving to the country and breaking into the EDS side. Enzo Maresca apparently was really, really impressed with him. And Manchester City have been really impressed with him. Now, the idea for him now is that he starts training with the first team, and hopefully, he'll get some early Carabao Cup games or something like that, and he'll be the one that actually can just step up, and we won't need to sign another defensive midfielder when Fernandinho leaves Manchester City or hangs up his boots or whatever. And I like this because, honestly, what I really like about Lavia, I've watched him play plenty of times now, he's just supremely intelligent. Like, that he stands out as exceptionally technical. Like, he really is. He's technically brilliant. Like, his ball retention, his touch is so tight. The way he breaks the lines of his passes is so impressive. He has he looks a little bit like Camavinga, you know, the young French wonder kid, another fantastic young midfielder. In terms of his technical ability and capacity, and the fact that he's done it as well against senior pros when he was playing the Checker J Trophy shows that nothing really phases him. And I would not be surprised whatsoever if he looks totally at home in the rondos in the first team and all that kind of stuff. And he'll have, and he'll have a great time training with the first team. And I think, honestly, he'll have enough as well to impress with the first team. I mean, obviously, he's got a lot to learn still. He's only a kid still. Maybe he hasn't quite mastered the dark arts yet in the way that Fernandinho did. And you do need to learn that. But that comes with time, and it comes with experience, and it also comes with physicality. He's already a strong lad, despite not being the biggest. He's not the tallest. I would say he's about 5'7", 5'8", maybe. Maybe, I think he's something like that. He doesn't strike me as particularly tall, but he doesn't strike me as overly small either, if that makes sense. I wouldn't say he's lightning quick, but he's definitely not slow. But I would say he reads the game so well. And Guardiola loves a defensive midfielder that can read the game like that and use their technical ability to launch attacks and know exactly where to be. And this is why I really like this kid. He's supremely bright, supremely technical, and he's got a very good chance. And I think this is the kind of pathway we have to give these young players, because if you want these young players to stay around Manchester City and actually try and make the most of any opportunities, or at least feel like they can get opportunities, we have to give them a pathway. And a pathway is a route to the first team that they can see is actually feasible. And this is why when you sign a whole bunch of 50 million players, sometimes these players go, I haven't got a fucking chance. And they're not always wrong either. But in this instance, knowing that there will be a backup to, or someone to compete with someone like Rodri in that space. Don't know if you heard that on camera then, but a pigeon literally landed in our planter on the balcony. It's like, don't you dare come in, so I had to run off. As I was saying, the pigeon just trying to get in the shot over there. But what I was saying is that, yeah, you have to show these young players that they have a route to the first team. And with Fernandinho going, he'll be like, I could be the backup guy, and then maybe I could challenge Rodri or take over one day. That's a route. If we sign another 50 million DM, that's not a route then. So I like it. And likewise, we have to show the same for Delap. And maybe Harry Kane coming is a little bit older. Maybe that's the route for Delap, where he feels actually in 2-3 years, I should be able to step into those shoes potentially, because Kane will be getting a bit older. And likewise, maybe with Mahrez. Mahrez is like 30 now, isn't he? Maybe Cole Palmer thinks I could be the one to take over there. Or someone like Gundogan and De Bruyne, they're like around 30 now. Maybe they see that route as well. We have to give them the route and trust them in it. So it'd be interesting to see how he gets on next season. I'm not saying he's going to play often, but he's very good. He's really, really, really good, and he's very, very exciting. Trust me on that. A little bit of news elsewhere. Sterling, obviously, absolutely loving life after yesterday. He was excellent yet again for England. Genuinely fantastic. And according to Jack Gordon at the Daily Mail, he's very well sourced with the Manchester City news and all that kind of stuff. Part of the Northern Press Pack, so he does get these stories. Apparently, City will look to discuss a new contract with Sterling after Euro 2020. He's got 2 years left, of course, to run. But they're calm about the situation. And I think he'll get done. And I want it to get done, because Sterling's a very, very, very good footballer. Little Kane update. According to Fabrizio Romano on his podcast, Tottenham's stance on Harry Kane remains the same amid City's interest. He said he said that they're still saying he's not leaving the club, Spurs, and they are still convinced that they can keep the player this summer. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting. Though Fabrizio did say he thinks City will do something big this summer, that they want to do an important deal after Euro 2020. I guess in this instance, and I did brush over Sterling a bit too quick, by the way, and I apologise. It was a little bit of news. But I guess in this instance, we just have to sit and wait it out. I do think the Kane stuff and the Grealish stuff or whatever, these are things that are they'll reveal themselves with time, if that makes sense. We'll know based on new information, based on the circumstances, and based where Manchester City are by the end of the Euros in terms of like the squad status of a few players and all that kind of thing. If Bernardo wants to go, Grealish will come in. If Manchester City are serious about signing the striker, Harry Kane might actually come in too. I think we are serious. What I mean by that is if we're serious to match what Spurs asked for. Kane was a bit quiet last night, and he was a bit. I know he scored, but he was plodding as anything in the first half. So I'm hoping that's just an injury and that's not Kane these days, because that boy is not mobile at the moment. But we'll see. Either way, it's interesting. It's going to run on and on and on. Do not expect a resolution anytime soon, especially while all these lads are involved in international duty. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. And of course, I'll be offering my insight. Well, not my insight, my analysis or whatever of the situations of transfers throughout the summer. For now, though, go and watch the video I did earlier with James, which is really good. Let me know what you think of Lavia and Sterling and Kane, all that kind of stuff, and I'll catch you later. Thank you to all the patrons currently scrolling down the side of the screen as well. Absolute legends. These guys are awesome. And download OneFootball as well. Download OneFootball. It's fantastic and it helps support my channel. Love you all loads. And tomorrow, twitch.tv/Esteemed Kompany, I'm going to start streaming over there. It's going to be laid back and chilled. So we're going to start just going through the world of Manchester City and scrolling through the headlines together in a more laid back, informal kind of like little group chat thing. And your title for that, so if you think of one, let me know in a bit.